Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Very warm welcome to the IGBC Chennai Chapter's major first activity for 2023, Waterwise, a session on effective water management. And it is happening on a World Plumbing Day also. Today is March 11th, is the World Plumbing Day. So we in IGBC Chennai Chapter welcome you all to be part of this wonderful session. So we in IGBC have a great pleasure in welcoming Mr. R Kirlosh Kumar, IAS Managing Director, Chennai Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewage Board. Mr. Kirlosh Kumar Saab, we in IGBC welcome you all. And we are very fortunate to have Padma Shri C. Raghavendran, immediate past chair, IGBC Chennai Chapter, partner CR and Architects. Give a big round of applause to the chief guest, Kirlosh Kumar, IAS, and Raghavendran Saab, and Mr. N.K. Renganath, IGBC's executive board member, and who's a true champion, who has walked the talk in making his own office factory green, and a great ambassador for the water management and green initiatives. We have another MOE partner, Mr. Suresh Krishnan, President of CREDAI Tamil Nadu. Give a big round of applause. CREDAI is a very big supporter of all our activities. So we in IGBC are very fortunate to have a great true champion who has constructed the Asia's first largest 1.8 million square feet of green building in year 2006-07 itself, Asia's largest IT park, single monolithic to go green. He has not stopped it after getting a gold. He has improved upon on various green, innovative and cutting edge technologies has been implemented when he has constructed as a new floor, and now he has got the IGBC's platinum rating for his own campus, 1.8 million square feet going greenway, which is one of the world's amazing facility. I'm talking about my own chairman, Mr. Ajit Chordia, chairman for IGBC Chennai Chapter, Managing Director, Olympia Group. So now I welcome Mr. Ajit Chordia to address us and set the tone for the wonderful event on Waterwise session on effective water management. Over to you, sir.
Respected Chief Guest, Shri Kirlosh Kumar, Managing Director, Chennai Metro Water, Padma Shri, Mr. C. Raghavendran, immediate past chairman of IGBC, Mr. Ranganath, again past chairman of CII Chennai, Mr. Suresh Krishna, President CREDAI Tamil Nadu, my colleague on IGBC, Mr. M. Anand, Mr. Mahesh Anand, M. Anand from Executive Director, IGBC and Vice Chairman, World Green Building Council, distinguished invitees and friends. My association with sustainability started in the year 2004. A brief history has been given to you by Anand. Anand has mentored this particular project, and today, if I speak something on sustainability, it is because of the seeds which have been laid by him. I've told this number of times, and at the cost of repeating, I'm still repeating it. But for my interaction with Anand, I would not have got so much involved in this particular field. Then the market was towards sustainability, energy and water conservation. The market has now moved from that to net zero. But the fundamental philosophy remains the same: how to optimize the use of our resources. Whenever I get involved in the design of a building, I'm extremely confident that I will be able to reduce the energy consumption. I'm also confident that whatever energy which we consume, I'll be able to source it from on-site and off-site renewable sources. But when it comes to water, it's a big, big challenge. We do take all steps to conserve water, but still there's a requirement of fresh water in urban areas, and towards this, we have to depend a lot on technology to conserve water, to reclaim water, and to generate water to meet the growing needs of this scarce resource. We hear so many catchy slogans: save water, save earth, drip, drop, the clock must stop. Water is essential, treasure it. All these makes us realize the importance of water and helps us to use it judiciously. This program, Waterwise, is also in this direction. In political science, there is a concept called resource curse. It has been seen time and again in history that a country which is abundant in any of the natural resources, be like mineral, oil, or diamonds, then the country starts is plagued with higher rate of corruption and conflict. But when it comes to this resource, water, the theory will not hold good. This is referred to as the water thesis. It suggests that the growing water scarcity will drive violent conflicts as access to water is restricted or constrained to certain communities. It is rightly said that the next world war is going to be for this scarce commodity water. It is in the backdrop of this, the need to conserve and optimize the use of water, that we have our chief guest, Mr. Kirlosh Kumar, who is going to speak to us about the government initiatives in meeting the requirements of this growing metropolis, followed by Mr. Anand, Mr. Padma Shri Raghavendran Shah, Mr. Ranganath, and Mr. Suresh Krishna, who would also be sharing their thoughts on this subject. With these few words, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to this conference.
Thank you, Mr. Ajit, to set the tone and stress on the need for the water conservation. And without any further ado, I will make a very brief presentation for 2 minutes before we turn our spotlight onto the chief guest, Mr. Kirlosh Kumar. So once again, this is our own IGBC's headquarters in Hyderabad. Many of you would have visited. If you have not visited, please do come to Hyderabad. This is the world's greenest building in year 2003, and now it's a net zero building also. You're all invited. So about IGBC, the Indian Green Building Council, which has been formed by CII in year 2001 with the support of all the stakeholders who are on the dais and off the dais and away from this room. We in IGBC are very fortunate to be led by all the committed true champions like you all who have joined in large number. The vision of the Indian Green Building Council is to enable sustainable built environment for all. So as far as IGBC stakeholders like you and me, all includes human beings, animals, planets, flora and fauna. So this gives us a huge canvas for all of us to work and save every droplet of water and energy also. So in the process, we want India to become one of the global leaders in sustainable built environment by 2025. So that is the reason we would love to engage with you all in a much, much bigger way. So we in IGBC also very fortunate to be a founding member of World Green Building Council. 70 countries from Australia to Americas are part of the World Green Building Council. Especially after the Paris Agreement of COP21, we are able to get an exclusive Green Buildings Day in the COP meetings actually. So we in IGBC are very fortunate to represent what and all we are doing in India through the World GBC in the global forums like COP and World Environment Forums, and to name a few. So our own center, IGBC's headquarters in Hyderabad, which is the India's first platinum rated building and the world's greenest building, has been inaugurated by then President His Excellency Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Saab on 14th of July 2004 actually. So this is the IGBC's headquarters. So we in IGBC define green building is the one which uses less water during construction and occupancy. That is the reason this event is all the more important. The Waterwise, optimizing energy efficiency, conserving every natural resources, which includes again water and energy and power, all of that, less waste it should generate, again both during construction as well as during occupancy. Last but not the least, the fifth one is on providing a healthier spaces for people. Not because of COVID we have put it. This slide is there ever since we started in 2001 actually. So like what we have 5 fingers in our palm, IGBC's rating programs are very holistic and integrated. When we started, with due respect to the designers, focus was more on only on energy efficiency. Whereas we never talked about what kind of a water fixture, what kind of a shower, what kind of wastewater treatment I have. We never used to have a great detail, or what kind of a paint. We will stop at the color and the texture, but not the chemicals and others. So that is the reason, like what we have 5 fingers in our palm, IGBC rating program addresses on the site, water, energy, materials, and indoor air quality. So it is not new to us. It is completely aligned with our own ancient wisdom and the knowledge of our own great-great-grandfathers. Thousands and thousands of years ago, they discovered what they call it as the 5 elements of nature. In the spiritual world also, every day morning, the moment get up, we all look towards the sun and pray for a second actually. So all the IGBC's rating program modules on site, water, energy, materials, and indoor air qualities are completely aligned with 5 elements of Indian ethos, or 5 elements of nature. We call it as a Panchaputas. So with the support of each one of you, the stakeholders, what it started as one headquarters of CII IGBC headquarters in Hyderabad, 20,000 square feet. Very recently, we have crossed 10 billion square feet. So India and the CII had a lot of agenda for India at 75. This is one of the very big milestone achieved, and there is a very big gift given to the whole world actually, I would say. So for the several years, for the 7 years we are talking about, when India celebrates its 75th year of independence, India should have gifted 10 billion square feet. With the support of each one of you, we have done that. So from the initial days of buildings, we moved on to the buildings also. That is the reason we would look forward to Mr. Kirlosh Kumar's inputs also, how the city level or the township level, and we can enhance the water efficiency. So IGBC is the only council in the whole world to have 31 different rating programs to suit all our typologies, like places where we stay, live, learn, purchase, work, play, transit, and worship. For example, the Chennai Metro, the Chennai Airport, IT parks, individual houses, all of them are going green in the city of Chennai itself. So a lot of case studies you will see. Again, we are very fortunate. Couple of weeks ago, on 16th of February, a dossier on 10 billion square feet of India's achievement has been unveiled by His Excellency Srimati Draupadi Murmu, President of India, in the IETF event in the presence of all the stakeholders. So we in IGBC have done a reasonably a good job, a long way to go still, but India achieving a 10 billion has been applauded across the world by various stakeholders. So by adopting our rating programs, what is the benefit we are able to quantify, measure, and manage? So every million square feet of 1 million square feet of a commercial office space, like our Olympia Tech Parks and many projects across Chennai and across the country, they are able to save to the tune of around 15,000 megawatt hours of electricity per annum, per million square feet. 45,000 kiloliters. The Chief Guest, Mr. Kirlosh Kumar, will be more than happy. Every IGBC certified 1 million square feet commercial office space is able to save 45,000 kiloliters per annum per million square feet. So the water saved is available for our own countrymen, for their own portable applications, or for agriculture and others. So together with this energy savings and water, the GHG or the carbon emissions, CO2 emissions to the tune of 10,000 to 12,000 tons per million square feet per annum has come down. So with this, I stop here and I'll come back to you on the IGBC's net zero after hearing from our chief guest who has other appointments. So now may I request our chief guest, Mr. Kirlosh Kumar, IAS Managing Director, who's a graduate from Bangalore University. He's qualified as a chartered accountant by securing 15th rank in the country, awarded the UK Bhargava Prize for securing the highest marks in India in the income tax paper in chartered accountancy exam, passed the civil service exam in the first attempt, and joined the IAS in the year 2001. He has withheld many positions from the collector of Ramanathapuram, collector of the Dindigul, and presently he is the managing director, Chennai Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewage Board. Let us give him a big round of applause in welcoming Shri R Kirlosh Kumar, IAS Managing Director, Chennai Metropolitan Water Supply and Sewage Board. So may I request you to address you, sir? Address all of us on the Waterwise session on effective water management. Over to you, sir.
Dignitaries on the dais, Mr. Ajit Chordia, Padma Shri Mr. C.N. Raghavendran, Mr. M. Anand, Mr. Suresh Krishna, Mr. Mahesh Anand, Mr. N.K. Ranganath, and all other participants in today's conference. A very good morning to all of you all. So I'll briefly describe about Chennai Metro Water's history in supplying treated drinking water to Chennai city. It all started in 1914 when the Chennai Corporation took initiative to treat water from Red Hills Lake, and it started the Keelpok Water Works. It's a very old building, very heritage building. We have, in fact, we have a water museum there, which is open to the public. I request all of you all to come and have a look. So water was supplied through a canal from the Red Hills Lake, and that canal is still functioning even today. And it was treated in Keelpok Water Works and then supplied by gravity to the entire, to a portion of the Chennai city. Subsequently, we have designated Pundi Reservoir as a reservoir for drinking water, to meet the drinking water needs of Chennai. Over the last 30 years, lot of improvement has happened. Chembrambakam Lake was designated as a drinking water source. A very landmark agreement was signed with the government of Andhra Pradesh, where they are assured to supply about 12 TMC of water for drinking water purposes from the river Krishna, which is more or less being honored even till today. We are very fortunate. In the year 2004, Viranam water was supplied to Chennai city. A project was implemented. The water comes from Viranam mostly on gravity to Chennai. It's treated and supplied to the Chennai residents. Another landmark in our water supply history was the establishment of the Minjur desalination plant. This was one of its kind of PPP plant. This was established in the year 2006 to 9. That was a construction period. 2009 it was established. It started functioning. Then came the Nemmeli desalination plant. That was again another 100 MLD plant, which is mainly catering to the needs of southern Chennai. The next landmark in Chennai Metro Water's history was the establishment of the 150 MLD desalination plant, which is going to be commissioned this year. In fact, the intake lines are being laid in the sea after dredging, and it's one of the biggest plants probably in Asia. Next, we are about to start the 400 MLD desalination plant again at a place called Perur in South Chennai. So with this, our desalination plant capacity itself within a period of 3 years will be about 750 MLD, which is a very substantial quantity. And once the 400 MLD desalination plant has also been commissioned, I don't think so Chennai will ever face any drought in future. Now we are also going to cater to the added areas of Chennai, to the peripheral areas of Chennai like Tambaram. This 150 MLD plant is going to supply about 25 MLD to Tambaram. The 400 MLD desalination plant is also going to supply about 100 MLD water to Tambaram and surrounding areas. And so these projects are not only going to cater to Chennai city, but also to the suburban areas surrounding Chennai city. Chennai has also been a pioneer in reuse of water. Way back in the early 90s itself, Chennai started supplying secondary treated sewage water to the petrochemical factories in North Chennai, so that it can be treated and used in their processes. Subsequently, we have established the 2 TTRO plants, one in Kodungallur and one in Coimbatore. Both are 45 MLD capacity. The TTRO plant, which is established at Kodungallur, caters to supplies water to the industries in North Chennai, especially the thermal power station, the petrochemical units, fertilizer units in North Chennai. In fact, there is a lot of demand, and we are also planning to extend the pipeline up to Manalur and Gumdipundi, so that those industries also benefit from this TTRO plant. The advantage with this TTRO plant is that it's a perennial source of water. Even in a drought year, you will never, usually in a drought year, the first sector to get affected is industries, because priority is given to drinking water. So hence, for industries, it's a boon that there will be a constant supply irrespective of the weather conditions. This water is being supplied at the rate of rupees 80 per kiloliter, which is again very competitive as compared to the freshwater supply, the rate at which freshwater is supplied to industries. We have another TTRO plant, a 45 MLD TTRO plant established at Coimbatore, and from where we are supplying water to Irangattukottai, Sri Perumbudur, Oragadam, and all those surrounding areas. We basically supply water to Sipcot at the rate of 65 rupees per kiloliter, and then in turn SIPCOT has its own distribution system, and they supply to the end user industries at 80 rupees per kiloliter. Most of the big industries, they are availing of this water for their process requirements. I think I met somebody from Saint-Gobain. Saint-Gobain is also using the TTRO water. Most of the other multinational companies, Hyundai, many other companies are using this TTRO water. So this is again one of its kind in India. I mean, on many occasions I say that probably Chennai is the only city where you have all types of sources of supply. We have surface water sources, we have desalinated water, we have TTRO water, now we also have TTUF water. We have commissioned a 10 MLD TTUF plant at a place called Nesapakam. Now this TTUF plant, it processes the sewage water and the water is treated, the treated water is as good as drinking water quality, and then that water is now being pumped into Porur Lake, and next to Porur Lake we have established a water treatment plant, and this water is again treated in the treatment plant and supplied to the households. So this will be a proper circular usage of water, again one of its kind in the country. We also have number of projects which are about to be commissioned. One such unique project is at Lang's Garden. Here we have established a 10 MLD TTF plant which is going to be commissioned this year, and from this plant we have laid a 2.5 kilometer pipeline, and this TTUF water is going to be supplied to Southern Railway, which they are going to use for cleaning the wagons in their yard. So again, this is one unique project for supply of TTUF water for other uses other than drinking water uses. We have also established another 10 MLD TTUF plant at a place called Perungudi. Again, it's on the same model as Nesapakam. This TTUF plant will treat the sewage water, and it will be discharged in Perungudi Lake. And next to Perungudi Lake, we have also established parallelly a water treatment plant, which will again use this water, treat it further, so it will be like double treatment, and then again supply to the households. Apart from this, we have other TTF plants which are in the pipeline at Mogaper, and some more are still in the project stage. So Chennai is taking big strides in ensuring reuse of water. It is recognizing wastewater as a resource and ensuring that there is good, it's put to proper use. We have in Chennai, as far as sewage treatment is concerned, we have about 900 MLD capacity for treating the sewage water, which is more than sufficient to meet our present requirements. And we also have number of new projects in the pipeline, which will take our, in a very short period of time, within a year, it will take our installed capacity to almost 1200 MLD. And Chennai has been very early to recognize that the Central Pollution Control Board has revised its norms for discharge of treated water in the waterways. And way back, a few years back itself, we have taken the initiative to rehabilitate all our existing plants, to change the technology from ASP to MBBR and SBR, so that we meet the new norms. And in all our sewage treatment plants, we have the online effluent management system, which is again linked to both Tamil Nadu Pollution Control Board and Central Pollution Control Board, and they can online monitor the discharge standards from our sewage treatment plants. Apart from this, Chennai also has entered into a Chennai City Partnership, which is again a World Bank funded program. And as part of this, we are we have initiated steps to take up 24/7 water supply. It's still in the project stage, but we have taken initiative to prepare the DPR. We are taking area 10 and area 13. Chennai is divided into 15 areas, so 10 and 13, which is Adayar and Srinagar areas. So we are going to take up these areas as a pilot basis for this project. So we would like, and we have also entered into a number of projects where all the added areas of Chennai. Chennai initially was 176 square kilometers. In 2011, it was expanded to 400 plus square kilometers. And in all the added areas, government has sanctioned projects to take up water supply and underground sewerage schemes. Water supply schemes are more or less in the completion stage in all the added areas. Sewerage schemes have partly been commissioned and partly they have been sanctioned. And over the next few years, we'll be taking up a lot of projects, especially in OMR and ECR, to supply the drinking water as well as to undertake underground sewerage schemes. And lastly, I also want to mention about rainwater harvesting. Chennai again has been a pioneer in rainwater harvesting. Way back in 2003 itself, it was made mandatory that all buildings should have rainwater harvesting structures. For the last 2 years, we have conducted a house-to-house survey using, last year in fact, we used the self-help group members, and we also developed an app so that they can go and geotag the rainwater harvesting structures and also give us a report on the hours of supply of water, what are the steps taken by the buildings, by the households to bring about rainwater harvesting, and also the condition of the rainwater harvesting structures. What the survey told us was all the multi-story buildings and all the big commercial buildings, most of them have rainwater harvesting structures which are being used. But many of the smaller buildings, so they have structures, but many of them are not maintained properly. So that again, we have taken it as a input, and we started an IEC campaign to save water and ensure that all the rainwater harvesting structures are maintained properly. So with this, I once again thank the organizers for having called me and also organizing this very important session on green buildings and water reuse. Thank you.
So, with the permission of my chairman Ajit Chordia, I would love to summarize few points on what our chief guest just mentioned. In fact, it is many of us are talking very high about the Singapore's new water. After listening to you, Kirlosh Kumar Saab, we would love to highlight this is India's time to tell the story on how the treated water is being circulated repeatedly, and then it is all meeting all the standards, online measurement of the state's pollution control board as well as this one. And you mentioned very beautiful points. I will not take the time to summarize all of that. The key points is all of us are worried actually whether Chennai has all the water for the residents as well as for the industry. You clearly mentioned not once, several times, there is nobody to worry on any draft in Chennai, number one. Not only for the city of Chennai, suburbs also. Number two, as you rightly said, Chennai is a pioneer in reuse of the secondary treatment plants in the Manali and the other industrial areas, and now it is being extended. You are quoting all the world-class plants in Sri Peramburu and others also. So the new water story of Singapore is highlighted all over the world. Incidentally, the World's Green Building Congress is happening in Chennai, sir. We will come and meet you. It is happening in November. So now you have invited all of us to visit the Keel Park Museum also. We have made a point, it is not only all the Indian stakeholders, we will bring the world. Now the Marina Barrage, Singapore, and is all fine. Now it is India's time, Keel Parks and Nessa Park comes and all the treated plants has to be met and it has to be communicated through the whole world with your consent and with your department's consent. We will ensure. Let us give him a big round of applause. So you also mentioned about there is going to be a constant supply of water. And then you mentioned about 24/7 project with the World Bank. And we are also eagerly looking forward. Chennai should be the first city in the whole world or in the country to become the tap to mouth or tap to lip, whatever you are calling it. So we in IGBC will be more than happy to join hands with you. Now may I request Ajit Chordia Saab to formally, since the chief guest has some other appointments with the government ministers review, I would request him to present the 10 billion square feet book. Before that, I would love to summarize his own expressions after listening to the chief guest. Over to you, Ajit Chordia.
I think, sir. Hello. Sir, you mentioned about me and Suresh, we were both, and even Anand had mentioned about we were all under the impression that the Singapore is the only city where the recycled wastewater is being used for human consumption. You mentioned here that the TTRO water from Perungudi is being pumped into the Perungudi lake and thereafter again a treatment and then it is being supplied. Could you throw more light onto that, sir?
Perungudi is going to be commissioned very shortly in about 3 months' time, but this has already started at a place called Nesapakam. A 10 MLD TTF plant has been established there. It was inaugurated last year, September. And this water is being discharged into Porur Lake. And this water itself is of drinking water standards. But further it is mixed with surface water in Porur Lake. And then next to Porur Lake, we have a water treatment plant where again this water is treated along and supplied to the households.
Sir, hearty greetings and congratulations, sir. I think there's very less publicity about this particular fact that Tamil Nadu and in Chennai we have that the tertiary water is being put to reuse. It's a news to all of us, sir. I think it definitely needs more publicity. Anyone would like to have any question before we proceed with the...
Sir, anyway, one question before you leave. I think measuring the water consumption is a very, very important thing. I know it is a very tricky political decision, but nothing wrong in fixing the meter, not charging is fine. I think that will make us aware who is using, if there is any wastage, all that will come to know. I think that will help you to manage the water better in the city, sir. Thank you.
So now may I request all the dignitaries to join in presenting the 10 billion square feet of India's achievement to the chief guest. I request Mr. Ajit Chordia, the Chairman, IGBC Chennai Chapter, to present. The green buildings in all over the country, including Olympia Tech Park and others, 100 unique buildings which say I request Mahesh Anand to present the net zero water which has been developed by So as the chief guest, Mr. Kirlosh Kumar has an appointment with the government and other proceedings. He will be leaving, but we will continue the proceedings immediately. So now may I request Mr. N.K. Renganath, IGBC National Executive Board Member and Green Water Ambassador, we will call Green and Water Ambassador, to share his thoughts and set the tone for the entire discussions till our lunchtime. Over to you, Mr. N.K. Renganath.
Thank you, Anand. Mr. Chordia, Mr. Kirlosh Kumar has left. Mr. Chordia, Mr. Raghavendran and Suresh Krishna and Mahesh Anand and all of you, a few ladies out there and all the gentlemen, good morning. I like the way, I don't know who did this Ajit or Anand, called it Waterwise. What does it mean? It means we are not wise. The obvious conclusion. Having said that, I sincerely feel we have been quite profligate with the use of water, which we don't realize is perhaps a resource, if not available, the world will not die, you and I will. Everybody talks about the world dying. I keep laughing. The world will live. You and I will die. All living matter will go. And some of them would survive too, but not human beings. So just to sort of put that on. So what do we do? It was heartening to hear Kirlosh Kumar talking about all the efforts that we have been dreaming in the last 20 years in this water business. If I was just telling him the last 5-year plan, which was during the Manmohan Singh government, we had given a lot of suggestions from CII side, which now are fructifying slowly, and it's taken this much time, but better late than never. Having said that, who owns water? One question I would like to ask, who owns water? Just because you have a well, do you own water? Or is there water flowing through your land, do you own water? You can own land, you can put a boundary. You can't put a boundary to water because it will fill your land and start flowing the other way around. So you have to realize that water is a common resource which has to be managed. There's another thing that I'll tell you. Not a drop of water was made or destroyed since this earth was born. Not one drop you have made, not one drop you have destroyed. But we've been continuously polluting the water. So there's also one more fact. Everybody talks of specific consumption of water. Our specific consumption is going down. What do you expect? The quantum of water has not changed. We have polluted most of the water, but the population will go up. So the numerator is going, the denominator is sort of coming down. So the number of people, or the other way around, if you say, the quantum of water is the same, the number of people are going up. So the per capita availability of water will go down. So don't worry about it. Are we creating access to clean drinking water? The only way we'll create it is to reuse and reuse and reuse what we call circular water. If you are not, then we're going to have a problem. That's one part of it. I'll leave it there. Who are the stakeholders in water? Every time you talk about water, you're happy to buy that bottle of water sitting on your table, pay for 10 rupees, 20 rupees, but you want the government to supply it free to you. Why? By paying a little to the government for the water, Suresh Krishna spoke about metering. Why you should not charge? Charge. If you pay a little to the government and make sure you get clean drinking water at home, you don't need to buy those bottles. And that's the way India is going in many areas, especially energy. We have not done that yet in water. To give you a brief example, I won't take too long, but just this example, I met a guy from Bihar who's distributing solar power in villages, microgrid. I asked him, how much do you pay for, charge for the power? He said, you shouldn't ask me those questions. I said, give me an idea. I want to know the economics of this. He says, I have a 150 rupee package, a 250 rupee package, and a 350 rupee package. 150 will do 2 lights and some fan or something like this. And I said, how does that work? He said, I found out how much they are paying for kerosene, for firewood, and for cleaning their clothes because they're a suit from firewood. And all the villagers like to have white clothes, white dhotis and white this thing. And I calculated it and I gave them a package. They are saving money and they are paying me. I said, how much does it work out to per unit? 16 rupees per unit of electricity. You and I don't pay, the villager pays, but he's saving money. So that's the kind of thinking you start when you get to water. Do we have that wherewithal as a stakeholder? We always say the government. Government does a fantastic job. What are we going to do about it? And every time we talk about industry, the most profligate user of water in India is agriculture. You don't sort out the agriculture problem, you don't sort out the water problem. Yet agriculture is a holy cow, very politically oriented, but there has to be, I find that these are the people who are converts perhaps, so that's why you're sitting here, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So you people have to evangelize about ensuring that we have this resource, we leave behind a clean resource for generations to come and not use it up for ourselves. So this is something that you need to look at as a stakeholder. When talking about infrastructure, I spoke about water flowing. If water doesn't flow over the ground, water flows under the ground. Aquifers are not very specific to your land or somebody else's land. It crosses countries' boundaries. And until we have management at the water basin or the river basin level, and not based on geographical boundaries of states. I'm a Tamilian from Karnataka. Imagine my plight. Just imagine my plight. When I go here or there, both ways it's a problem. So it's not boundaries. We have to look at how we can equitably share water. And it's strange stories. I had a Tamil Nadu registered car, and this Kaveri problem was going to start throwing stones at the car. Till I opened the door and spoke to them in Kannada. They say, sorry, please go. So we are going to have problems if we don't sort the water thing out. And we need to look at planning for water, some minimum for 30 to 50 years. Not in 5-year spans of the 5-year plan, or because the governments are running for 5 years. Some run for 10 or 15. But having said that, we need to plan, and irrespective of which government comes, the baton has to be handed over, because water is not a political issue. I wish it was, because then the politicians will listen to us more. But it is not a political issue. It's a human issue. And that's something that we need to look at very, very, very carefully. Then I'll come to net zero water. People confuse it with zero discharge water. Net zero is good. Net zero is where you conserve water more than you use. Zero discharge is a terrible thing, and somehow our courts got hold of it. Zero discharge. So you cannot discharge anything out of your boundary. Why? I will make the water better than what I received, and I will give it to my neighbor. And this is something that you need to be clear about. If some of you from industry, this zero discharge thing is actually going to kill a lot of initiatives, because to get rid of the water, you're using power because you don't know what to do. Or what you do, you dig bore wells and put your dirty water into the river and pollute the entire aquifer. And this is happening in Tamil Nadu. So it's important that we look at water very holistically. It's important that we work together as stakeholders, you, me as user, industry, agriculture, and the government, and also what you call organizations like IGBC, which are anyway evangelizing this, and see if we can achieve something that together we do our little bits to ensure sustainability of water. Sustainability of water access. I won't say sustainability of water, because water is going to remain. My last point, if you put all the world's water into a bucket, how much do you think we have for drinking? 1 bucket of water, all the world. We are a blue planet. Huh? We are all water all over the place. How much do you think we have for drinking? 3 teaspoons. That's the equation. So we should wake up, get things moving. I'm glad you're having this Waterwise, and I hope wisdom dawns. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. N.K. Ranganath, for sharing your entire wisdom and knowledge and giving a new dimension to the Waterwise title coined by Ajit Chordia and the entire CII IGBC core committee members. Now may I request Padma Shri C.N. Raghavendran Saab, immediate past chairman of the IGBC Chennai Chapter and IGBC National Executive Board member, to share his thoughts on Waterwise, and he is involved in various world-class green buildings and all the buildings across the country and across the world. So may I request Mr. Padma Shri Architect C.N. Raghavendran Saab to share his thoughts and his wisdom and knowledge to set the tone once again. Thank you, sir. Let us give him a big round of applause to welcome him to.
Thank you, Anand. Mr. Chordia, Mahesh, Anand, Raghunath, and Suresh Krishna, and ladies and gentlemen. Very happy to see IGBC Chennai Chapter taking on themselves such an important and crucial topic for us, which is becoming, which has been a great worry for all of us. And until we heard today, Mr. Kirlosh Kumar, we had a little apprehension about what we'll do with water in another 20 years for time in Chennai. Because Chennai has traditionally been a water-starved city. I mean, in my travels within India, or sometimes even abroad, when somebody is asking about investment opportunities in India in terms of industrial manufacturing or something, the first thing that they say is, oh, Chennai, there's no water. This used to be the standard reaction or the kind of image that Chennai had. But after listening to today's, the possibilities that are going to be upon with us in another matter of 4 or 5 years, I think it's very gratifying to see this, and that we can boast of Chennai having 24/7 treated water, as he said, not just water but treated water. So this is a great achievement and a good thing to know. But sorry, yeah, I just want to go back to 2002 thereabouts, when IGBC was formed. At that time, it was an MOU between USGBC and IGBC. And in the initial years, the rating system, as followed by USGBC, was adopted for Indian rating system. But knowing fully well that we have to sooner or later formulate our own system, because we cannot live on somebody else's thought process and evaluation systems and so on. So this led to formulation of India-based rating system for India. This is about 2002, 2003 thereabouts. Now, I was fortunate to be associated with this committee, and when we examined, what struck us was that India, we have to be very, very sensitive about water, more than anything else. Water is our first priority, and therefore the first draft of this thing was very focused on water usage and water conservation and water reuse and treatment and not polluting the water. And also in terms of groundwater, using of rainwater. So all these concepts were sort of drafted in, and they've taken good shape, and today there are wonderful examples in which IGBC rated buildings perform exceedingly well in terms of water. See, one thing that we also realized was, as Raghunath was also saying, there's of course an alternative energy. If you don't have a conventional energy, you have an alternative energy out of renewable sources or out of permanent sources. You have alternative fuel today. Another big issue that we had in transportation industry, alternative fuel, alternative gas is now today possible. But there's no alternative to water. We have to live with what we have, and we have to maximize the use of it efficiently and judiciously. So this is very, it's good to see that more and more people are getting involved in it. And I'm surprised. I had an opportunity to be at a school, some school and some event. So one of the students, a group, came and said what they have done in their school campus to conserve water. I mean, as the girls and boys aged perhaps about 10, 12, talking about water conservation in their school premises, and therefore they carry it, the practices they learned to their homes. Was a great feeling that we are on the right direction. On water, I just like to narrate something that shocked me long back. I was a student at IIT Kharagpur between 60s and 65, 1960 to 65. Now, Kharagpur water supply was horrible. In fact, if you get half a bucket of water per day, we have to manage within half a bucket of water for everything, including bathing, washing clothes, and everything. So, water was, people used to get up at 3 o'clock to collect that half a bucket of water, and then go back to sleep and miss the class. This is how the student life was going on. And the entertainment in those days was to travel to Calcutta, which is about 70 kilometers away. And what I saw first time in Calcutta, what struck me was that there's a fire hydrant. I mean, all over the place there was a fire hydrant. The old British legacy of working fire hydrant system, as you see abroad. And it's supplied by water from Hooghly River. it's just across. So they had no problem of shortage of water, at least for firefighting purposes. And what was that fire hydrant used for? Every morning, if you drive across Calcutta those days, you will find hundreds of people using it as a shower. The copious water that's flowing out of this fire hydrant at a great pressure. I don't think anybody could get the pleasure of bathing in that water, as compared to today's rain showers and all that you have. It's a great sight. But it struck me because on one hand, we are struggling for water. Even drinking water is tough. We have to ration drinking water. And as a student, when I go back, but in Calcutta, they have the benefit of this water. So that's the first time I got exposed to that, this can't go on forever. And that was the situation. And when we started later in my profession doing some large projects, how do you get water to the projects? How do you get water on a sustainable basis to the projects? Now it was, especially in the early days, you had no opportunity of, the tanker water system was not established at that time. So supplying water to something like, say, a tidal park in the beginning, you have wonderful infrastructure built within, but where is the source of water? So that is a great challenge. Now just going back to cut short what I wanted to say, two things I want to look at. One is, Tamil Nadu and Chennai, we are glad to see Chennai being in the forefront of water conservation and effective water measures for people to survive on a sustainable basis. But if you really step back and look at what was happening earlier, in fact, you'll be surprised that Chennai, Tamil Nadu was revolutionary in the field of water management, even 1,000 years back. And the example I'm talking about is the Kallanicut, the Great Anicut, that was built by Karigal Cholan more than 1,000 years back. Now, it came out of realization that a lot of water from Kaveri was going to waste near Trichy and Tanjavur. And he devised a system of a regulatory water basis. And that created water being diverted to irrigation purposes. And that made Tanjavur the rice belt of India. So one measure by one king who had the vision and the energy and the guts to do this. And it's Kallanai. There's no Kallu in Tanjavur or Trichy. So, but he got from somewhere and he did it. And that, even today, is one of the few working examples of water regulatory system in the world, maybe 3 or 4. So that's one kind of vision that we had at that time. The other example that I thought of, that strikes me every time is, there was an English engineer in the British days, Sir Arthur Cotton. What Sir Arthur Cotton has done to water management in South India is amazing. I mean, Andhra Pradesh, the Krishna barrage and the Krishna water basin that Sir Arthur Cotton initiated, in fact, he's done work in Tamil Nadu also, has turned, these are examples of one person's idea and ability to execute, turned the lives of people, not for a week or 1 year or 2 years, but for centuries. What we need today is something like this. It's a grand vision that what we want. Something that powers that be should have the courage, the ability, the vision to make such a transitional change today that we think of it for next 500 years. That's the kind of thing that we need, impetus that we need to put in. Of course, it's beyond all of us to really wish for it. But one thing we can do is, it's again a far-fetched idea, that in elections, the politicians, the candidates come and tell you what they will do. But instead, there must be a system where people can tell them, look, we will make you a minister or chief minister or a representative, provided you fulfill this. We put one demand and say, whoever fulfills this can get my vote. If we can reverse engineer or reverse negotiate, if a situation like this happens, these are all just dreams, but I think we should take back the power that we have and use it for getting what we want. The last aspect I want to just, it's just a random thinking, is we need a tremendous amount of behavioral changes. We have been used to a certain way of life, and we continue to use this. But I think in terms of, especially related to water and water usage, like he was mentioning about, the chief guest was mentioning about cleaning of coaches in railway platform and how much water is being used for that. Now, I've seen the railway coaches being washed. I had a chance to see it at one time. They have a huge pipe, some maybe 75 millimeter diameter pipe, full bore, water coming out. They were cleaning the walls of one of the carriages for that. Such a tremendous misuse of water. Why can't they atomize it? Why can't they do some, fine jet, which consumes 1/10 of the water to do their job? So these are the kind of behavioral changes that we need, and it happens from home. And of course, you see, anywhere when you go, they say 10 things you can do to save water, 5 things you can do to save water, 50 things you can do to save water. And they all talk about, don't leave your tap open when you brush your teeth. But there are much more things to be done than just brushing water and keeping the tap open. That is something that collectively we have to do. It has to be an individual effort and a collective effort, and a lot of exposure to good practices globally. And we have a great way to go ahead. So I would just end my note on this, and I thank the IGBC for this opportunity and a wonderful initiative. Congratulations, Ajit.
Thank you, Padma Shri C. N. Raghavendran Saab. I think, with due respect to all the participants, most of us would have not born when you were studying in Kharagpur in 60 to 65. I think at least I am not born. I was born in 1970, and so thanks for sharing your wonderful experiences from the Kharagpur to Calcutta to Kallanai, all the 3 Ks, Kharagpur, Calcutta, Kallanai, and amazing actually. So how as an individual, he connected a very beautiful points. One individual, Karigal Cholan or the kings, how they had a vision, and Sir Arthur Cotton. And he summed it up by saying the behavioral changes. It is not only the railway coaches or wagons, whatever we use as an individual level from our own end also. So you have set the tone very beautifully and give us a larger vision which have a greater impact, which we in IGBC are blessed. So with the permission of Ajit Saab, I will continue with where I left in another 5 minutes before I invite our MOE partner, CREDAI President, Mr. Suresh Krishna to share. So this is where I left. I will take another 5 minutes only. IGBC's net zero journey started in year 2017 when we had a similar session. So the whole world was looking at going into net zero carbon with 1.4 billion people, with the most populous country. We have now surpassed China in the population. With all the developments happening, we in IGBC, the stakeholders like Mr. Ajit and Mr. C. N. Raghavendran and N.K. Ranganath and others on the board, Mr. Mahesh Anand and others, said that it should be a step-by-step approach. So we wanted to start with a net zero energy to start with, because energy, even today as we are talking, we import enormous amount of oil and coal from somewhere else, and most of the power plants are run by oil and the coal. So the energy is important. Water, as we all know that it is equally important for us. That's the reason we started with the net zero energy, net zero water. Then waste management was the biggest challenge, and even today as we saw, eventually it will become net zero carbon. That is what we said. So in fact, we in IGBC was one of the first country to have not only the definition, a beautiful tool and the framework with a collective effort and the wisdom, whatever you have gained in the last 20 years. Net zero energy, net zero waste, net zero water and carbon. Many resources are available in igbc.in. You can get into that. So today I will talk briefly about IGBC's net zero water rating program and the tool aligned with the program on Waterwise. So here you all know about the India story, and as Mr. N.K. Ranganath mentioned about if the world's water resources are available in full bucket, he said that only 3 teaspoons, I don't know, 3 teaspoons is, how big is the teaspoon? Every time he reduces the teaspoon quantity also. So it may be, so it's a very, very, on the global crisis, the aircrafts getting turbulence, all that are bringing in scary news, but these kind of conferences and the stakeholders engagement gives more and more positivity. So definitely we all will be growing. The more and more investments, industries are going to come up. So we all play a vital role. So as far as IGBC's green building approach or the net zero water approach is the famous 3R: reduce all the water consumption by going in for ultra low flow and the flush fixtures, recharge every droplet of water, as beautifully articulated by N.K. Ranganatha. We are not generated one droplet of water, or we are not destroyed. So how do we capture every single droplet and try to make use of that and reuse? You heard from the Kirlosh Kumar IAS officer. So here, this is how the definition goes by engaging all the stakeholders. It is in a pilot stage. Definitely we can top it up or we can fine tune it. So as far as the IGBC's net zero rating program is concerned, net zero water buildings are those, quote unquote I say, consume minimum raw water and produce alternate water to meet the balance requirement and give back such quantities to the original sources for use, so that the net water consumption is zero. That is how we are defining it. So will be more than happy to listen to you all later in the technical session after this break. So here the core committee has introduced 2 more parameters. How do we improve the water performance ratio, as well as the second is on return water back to source actually. So these are the equations. I will not have the time to go into the details. You will hear us more from the later stage. So to be more honest, IGBC has thousands and thousands of case studies now. So in fact, the ultra low flow fixtures, when we visited some of the museums in Delhi when IGBC started in 2000, one of the washrooms I used in Delhi museum was having a cistern actually. After urination, I pulled the chain, almost 15 liters guzzled out to take away the liquid discharge. So I said it is not a cistern, it is a overhead tank actually, 15 liters to take away the liquid waste actually. So now from there, we moved on with our MOU partners like Indian Plumbing Association and others. We are talking about 2 liters and 4 liter flushes, dual flushes, 2 liters and 4 liters from 15 liters 20 years ago. So we in IGBC, all our rating programs encourage ultra low flow fixtures. And what you see in the waterless urinal in the men's room was the India's first waterless urinal installed in our own IGBC headquarters in year 2003. It is effective, still working as we are talking today. So that is the number one. Second is on what kind of a species we choose for the landscape. I cannot take a plant from Dubai and put it in Chennai, or I cannot take a native plant from Chennai and put it in Hyderabad. The climatic condition, soil condition, the rainfall, everything varies. So that is the reason we go to the level of choosing the native vegetation based on the climatic condition and the soil condition, then the irrigation, be it a drip or a sprinkler, and effective water management. As Suresh Krishna mentioned about how do we monitor at the dwelling unit level or industry level or an apartment, or all of this being encouraged by IGBC rating program. Harness alternate water through various wastewater treatment. You will hear more from them in the second half of the session after the tea break. So I will not go into the details. Here, enormous amount of options are available for biologically treating the grey water and the black water generated, be it at our house or an office or a factory, or mechanical treatment systems are also coming up in a very big way. Again, rainwater harvesting. Chennai is one of the city wherein rainwater has been made mandatory way back in 2003. So here also, lot of innovations are coming. The technologies, the innovations are all being implemented in these systems also. So here again, how do we bring back? And here again, some of the complexes are an individual level at my small house, which is only 1,200 square feet of my dwelling unit. I may not be able to achieve the net zero in one go. So this is the reason we have 3 levels. One is near net zero, where my water performance ratio is larger than 0.75, or I am reducing the consumption. Second is the net zero, wherein I am able to achieve the water performance ratio as well as giving back more to the source. And not only when you are doing so much amount of, you are not only encouraging to do less of bad. We in IGBC always believe in doing more of good actually. So when you do more of good in water measurements, all the measures also, so you land up in a net positive water also. This is the aspirational 3 levels of certification levels we have in IGBC net zero water rating program. So these are the few of the organizations we are very pleased. They are adopting the IGBC's net zero water rating program. A lot of capital and facilities across the country, Olympia Tech Park facilities across, and the Godrej, and to name a few. This is only illustrative list. So here again, since the event is happening in Chennai, I have taken a lot of measures or projects from Chennai. There is an individual house, very small house in Madipakam area, wherein he is having, after visiting IGBC headquarters where we have a natural treatment plant, he has replicated in his own compound wall to treat only the grey water, which comes from the kitchen sink and the showers, not the WC water. So it's at the 3 levels they are able to treat it. So individual houses have done it phenomenally well. High-rise apartments here again, they have an STP. Even before MOEF and Pollution Control Board asked, many of the projects they have done it, they're treating the entire black and the grey water generated in a very unique ways of the sewage treatment plants. Here again, one of the classical example worldwide, this is one of my popular slide, the Olympia Tech Park's water management system. Because when we are working between the air-cooled and the water-cooled machine, the Municipal Corporation of Chennai will not give a cooling tower makeup. The cooling towers consume almost 8 to 10 liters per ton per hour of a water requirement for the makeup alone. So this project is in the middle of the Guindy, in the middle of the city. How do I meet the water demand for the cooling tower? So this is the reason they went for the entire black and the grey water is being treated. They have gone for a native vegetation with the beautiful sprinkler and the drip irrigation automated system. So the entire irrigation water is from the treated water, number one. And they are the first one to implement the dual plumbing systems also. So wherever there is no human contact, like the flushing and the flush systems are all having a dual plumbing line. Then when we had a beautiful occupancy, the 2 shifts and 3 shifts, the occupancy started building up. We started generating more and more water from this treated water. Now we have water-cooled machines in this project also, which will take care of the water demand, surplus water available. So this is one of the classical example where the cooling tower makeup, irrigation water and the plumbing requirements are all met by the treated water within the plant itself, and it is 1.8 million square feet. Thousands of people walk in every single hour actually. Such a large scale single monolithic building right in our heart of the city. This is a classical example which we keep telling the whole story, and many projects are coming up now based on this success stories. And here again we are talking about a city level, like thousands of acres. Here again, Shobha City's project in Thrissur in Kerala, the huge project which has an individual villas and high-rise towers. They are become an IGBC net zero water. Here they are talking about 4 lines of wastewater treatment alone. Can you believe it? It's not only 2 lines now, 4 lines. How do they segregate? How do I treat it? How do I polish the treated water to meet based on the applications? So this is another amazing project which is so what I'm trying to tell is here live examples of individual dwelling units, high-rise apartments, high-rise commercial and multi-level, multi-client based complexes going, as well as cities or small-sized townships like 3,000 to 5,000 acres are also going green with IGBC's net zero mission. So the overall IGBC net zero mission is having enormous amount of traction. So many 350 organizations are adopting the net zero mission on energy, water and waste, and eventually on the carbon. So we wanted to hear more from you during the technical session. So the India's approach, what IGBC sees is, when you adopt net zero, energy is nothing called the order actually. Some of the projects they are starting with net zero waste, net zero water, net zero energy. So as the Honorable Pradhan Mantri said that India will become a net zero carbon emitter by 2070. 2070, maybe somebody may say that it's another 40-45 years are there, but we cannot wake up in 2069 and say that, okay, next year we wanted to become net zero, what are the things I can do? Change the lamp, change the tap. So whatever little effort, whatever we are doing at an individual level is going to eventually land up in India becoming a net zero carbon emitter. Under the leadership of Mr. Ajit Chordia and Mahesh Anand, Chennai is hosting the Green Building Congress in Chennai. After 10 years we are coming back. 2013 we hosted. So please block your diaries on 23rd, 24th and 25th of November. You will hear more from us. And the theme is advancing net zero buildings and built environment. Here again I would love to sum it up by the powerful quote. C.N. Raghavendran Saab mentioned about how individuals have made a great impact. One of the powerful individual is Dr. Premsi Jain Saab, late. He is a chairman for IGBC. Till he passed away in September 2018. He said, quote unquote, if we can change the way you think about building, maybe what you build will change the world. So he done it very beautifully, and a lot of traditional buildings are there, and especially in the southern part of the Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is always known for classical buildings, having in Chettinad houses, Karnataka or heritage buildings all over. How do we learn from the legacy, and how do we take it to the contemporary level? So the net zero water or energy, net zero carbon buildings are going to be the future. We in IGBC will be more than happy to associate and assist with you all. So thank you for the wonderful opportunity given for IGBC to share what we are doing collectively. So now may I request Suresh Krishna, President CREDAI, to address us and share his thoughts. Over to you, sir.
my good friend, IGBC Chennai Chapter Chairman Ajit, Padma Shri Raghavendra Rao, N.K. Ranganath, Anand and Mahesh Anand. And my dear friends, good afternoon all of you. I think you have heard enough about water conservation. All the experts have spoken. Coming after that and speaking on technical stuff, I think it will be too much. So, but I would like to just recap what IGBC has done. 10 billion square feet in less than 20 years with 10,000 building. Please give them a big hand for the entire leadership of IGBC for achieving this. Just less than 20 years. I don't know what next 20 years is there. Maybe 40 billion square feet they may add to India. I think that is a great achievement in all sphere of their work they have done to save India from all this. On behalf of CREDAI, it is my pleasure to be part of this event, Waterwise. As I said, it's coined very well. Waterwise is, I think, something to tell that you are not wise. I think that that itself is giving a very, very good meaning to that. And definitely, it is very important that all of us should do this. And when you say energy save in any green building, water is in fact, in the list itself, I saw water is the first. I think it's a very important thing. And in anything, first, I think preservation is the main thing. Our waterways, water sources, how are we maintaining it? I think now recent times governments are giving a lot of importance. You must have seen a lot of water bodies are getting regenerated in Chennai also, across Tamil Nadu. There is a lot of NGOs working on it. I think that is the first thing that we all have to do. Wherever we see, I'm sure all of us come from across Tamil Nadu and other places. Wherever you get an opportunity, there are many, many NGOs willing to regenerate the waterways and water sources. I think we all have to be a catalyst, just pass on the information, somebody will come and do it. There is a huge fund available for it. And in fact, from CREDAI, we have done a lot of regeneration also around Chennai, and there is a fund available for regeneration. And then next, very important is, I saw one of the slide, how do we conserve water, reduce, reuse, and reinvent. I think these very, very important three magic words which you have given. This is very important. All the fixes we select, whether you are rainwater harvesting. I don't know how many of you have seen government government in Chennai has done a lot of rainwater harvesting on the road. I see in Bazanagar, because the subsoil is very good for recharging. So wherever there is water stagnation, this has been done the last 4 or 5 years. But before that, I used to say, even in Bazanagar, you used to say water stagnation in the ground, on the road, because it's a completely black tap now. Now, with this invention, there is no water stagnation, even the worst of rain times also. I think the rainwater, it's a typical example of how government can work together and then save water for all of us. And the last, which anyway, it's a very, very, very passionate topic for me, measure whatever you use. In fact, every time from CREDAI or anybody, when we go and meet any of our metro officials, we always say, please meter all our domestic connections. I know it is politically sensitive, and Mr. Raghunath was saying that we should tell our political system what we want. How many of us will say, don't give me free water, don't give me free bus charge, don't give me free electricity? I'm thinking most of us won't tell us, at least majority of that. I think government has to take a very strong step, just measure it. Whatever it is, it will be very, very, whether you charge it or not, it's a political decision. But measuring it is, I think it's a need of the hour. I think we all have to impress upon the government or government agencies to measure whatever domestic water is being supplied to our home should be measured. And lastly, I have one example in my project where I have done a dynamic water metering for our villa project. It helps in a big way. I'm sure in the afternoon session you will see a lot of those technical product. Dynamically, what is water consumed, in your app you can see. It's a dynamic water meter, and this one example, when I proposed this, my entire my contract team and technical team said he is going to add cost to the project. Of course, it added some cost, no doubt about it, and we have, every buyer will pay extra for it if you say what is the usage. In one typical case, just I handed over the project only 1 year back, but he was just, when there was some water changeover system there, somebody has opened the tap in his round, he has gone abroad. He has taken the flight. When he landed in Singapore, he saw his app with the Waterwise running out of this. He immediately called the association and we cut the water supply to the villa. I think this one example, I think people are, when you give a facility, definitely I think certain percentage of people will monitor. I think the dynamic water metering system is very, very important. And in fact, our Mr. Kirlosh Kumar spoke about the water treatment, a lot of things they have done, government. It's an amazing system. As everyone said, we are not aware of reuse. I think it's very important that probably the government is not publishing this for various some sensitive reason, because they just mix it and use it just for a thing, but it's what Singapore is doing, we are doing. I think we are all have to be very, very happy that government is working with us, and I'm sure all of us should work towards making our buildings at net zero. From CREDAI, we will support whatever IGBC is doing, and we will work with you and ensure all our members are follow the same protocol. And in fact, most of our members started putting meter into our apartments, because one of the reason is each house will have 2-3 meters, because it comes from 2-3 shafts. That was one reason. But now we are saying it will reduce your monthly bill by metering it. Many of us have started doing it. I think that's a very, very thing. And any other innovation also, CREDAI will work with IGBC and ensure that everybody benefit out of it. Thank you, and all the best for this conference.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Suresh Krishna, for the kind words and amazing. I think 90% of his speech revolved around measure, measure, measure. So we in IGBC always believe in, and the training program slides say that what is being measured only can be managed. We don't stop there. What is being measured very well can be only managed very well, actually. So thank you, sir. And you being an MOE partner, and IPA is an MOE partner, you mentioned about 10 billion achievement. Collectively, you have done it with the support of all the MOE partners like CREDAI, IPA, IAA, IIID, Builders Association, and the list goes on and on. So may I now request Mr. Mahesh Anand, Co-Chair IGBC Chennai Chapter President, Nippon Paint India Private Limited, to share his concluding remarks. Over to you, sir.
Very good morning, everybody. So I think we are running late by 20 minutes, so let me just not take too much of time. So I'm just sitting in this dais, as like you are sitting outside the dais. I was just listening to what the stalwarts are speaking. I was just learning or getting some knowledge out of that. Everybody who spoke are role models here. Of course, Anand, you all know that he's been the main pillar for IGBC in taking this initiatives forward for this 10 billion square feet. It is, there is a saying in English, right? You need to blow your own trumpet. If you don't blow, somebody will blow for us. So that's what Anand is doing across the world. Thanks, Anand, for that. Mr. N.K. Ranganath is like a water's Pidamagan, as far as I know, because I have met him before almost about 20 years back when he came from US. He was just starting his company, Grundfos. So I just remembered him, but he didn't remember me. He's like Rajiv Gandhi. Everybody will know him, but he may not know us. But now, of course, we know that. So he's a Pidamagan for water. So great insights he shared to us, like, first let us do the change, then we'll ask others to do the change. Raghavendran sir, nothing to talk about him, as like what Anand said, we were not even born at the time when he was studying. So what inspires me is like he always takes the learnings from us also. He keeps telling me, Mahesh, you bring a lot of products into Indian market. That's nice. From Japan, whatever is launched in Japan, we bring into India. So he keeps on telling that. That's a very rare feat that you appreciate others also. And what he spoke about the experience of Kallanai, because I've seen that. I've studied in Trichy. That's where I live also. So I've seen this color nanaikattu, sir. And all my school days or weekends will be there in the color nanaikattu for different reasons, of course. My chairman, Ajit Chordia, in fact, is a living role model for having a wonderful commercial complex, which is to be envied by others and still continuing to having you can see, he's the principal sponsor. Why should he do that, first of all, right? So that's the passion these people have got. And Mr. Suresh Krishna, the chairperson for the CREDAI. And it is very difficult to walk the talk, right? You can keep telling measure, but he himself is measuring it. That's something very unique. And lastly, to me, in fact, you must be watching me, just listening, just looking at their speeches. I'm completely out of the box, right? I handle a manufacturing company called Nippon Paint. And what makes me to be part of IGBC is because when we came into India in 2006, we didn't have we were just thinking what to talk about, because when we have a marketing communication, people should relate to us. Consumers should relate to us. At that point of time itself, all paint companies were giving color, texture, finish, everything. But Nippon's unique identity across the globe was green, environmental friendly, sustainable products. Surprisingly, or blessing in disguise for us, IGBC also was gaining momentum by the then chairman, Mr. Prem Jain. So we became a founding member of IGBC. That's what you can see is on my blazer here. We are a founding member of IGBC. And from there, we started all the initiatives of IGBC. We are part of them. So we are the most, I would say, manufacturing process being green, the materials which come out of that, the paint which come out of is also green. When we first went and told to the market that green paint means, they said, oh, color green irukuma abdin. It's not like that. Any color we make is green. That's the unique feature my company has. So that's why I'm sitting on the dais. And instead, if not, I would have been off the dais actually. But one thing I can tell you while thanking, of course, the speaker, Mr. Kirlosh Kumar, I had the opportunity to invite him for this event. He was very humble. He was asking me, okay, who will be the audience? Then Vivek was with me. We said that more people who want to use water wisely. Probably that's the definition we wanted to keep, use water wisely. So he said, oh, say, so what should I have to speak? We said sir, whatever you are doing in the government front, please explain to the audience. That will be enough, like that I said. I was really spellbound to hear that what he spoke. Probably, I don't know, I don't want to bring in some sort of a politicality into this, but if we in Tamil Nadu are doing, the Tamil Nadu government is doing such type of initiatives, which is something which has been done, we hear that it has been done in only Singapore. When we go to Singapore, I report into my Singapore office, so we frequent to Singapore. Everywhere you do is all recycled water, whatever you drink. And Singapore is one country, they will not, when you go to check into a hotel, they don't give you drinking water. First time when I went, I was surprised. Without water. He said, sir, you take it from any tap, that is enough. Right? So, but from him, we hear that Chennai is going to be like that in shorter time. And that's something which should give credit for this entire government machinery. And a person like him leading that, when Anand was reading about his biography, I was surprised. A chartered accountant, scored highest in income tax, getting into civil services, something which is, I think we should give due credit for him and accepting us immediately and coming. In fact, I thought that we should remind him a couple of times. We never needed any reminders. And even though he's not here, we haven't long to thank him for that. And lastly, to thank this wonderful audience here. And I was wondering, because yesterday night Vivek told me that 140 people will attend. I said 140 people on a dry subject, even though water is not dry. On a dry subject, 140 people. I was very wondering, but when I came in, I saw all of you seated here. And I think we didn't make a mistake of choosing Chennai to be the Green Building Congress. We're going to host in Chennai. And I'm very sure that you people will be giving us, because it's been happening in Hyderabad. So in the last executive committee meeting, I said we're going to overtake Hyderabad this time. And with all your support, I think that is possible. It's going to be possible. Thank you so much. But listen to this page, listen to this informations related to IGBC till November and then forward also. We're going to be a change here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mahesh Anand, for the wonderful concluding remarks. And we in IGBC on record thank all the sponsors, Olympia Tech Park, all the 3 sponsors, Clara Aqua, silver sponsor, the Groundwater Company, and the Leggery Walls, bronze supporter. With all the 4 supporters, this event would have not happened. So there is a request from my chairman saying that since we are running late, we are all eagerly waiting for the technical sessions to happen. We will serve the coffee and tea here itself, and whoever wants to take the bio break, they can, without not creating much noise, they can go. Sorry for that, this one. So because eagerly waiting for the 4 technical presentations. So can I ask Vivek to immediately rearrange the chair, and then may now request all the participants to give a big round of applause to the Kirlosh Kumar, Ajit Chordia, Shri Raghavendran, Mr. Suresh Krishna, N.K. Ranganath, and Mahesh Anand. So may I request all the dignitaries to be seated on the first floor, first rows here. I request Mr. N.K. Ranganath to moderate the session, which is a very, very important session on how we all become very wise in using the water, I would say. That is one of the learning actually. The beautifully coined word by Mr. Ajit and Mahesh Anand. So over to you, Mr. Ranganath. And then may I now request Mr. Matthew Varghese, Mr. Jagdish Balram, Mr. Lakshmanan, and Mr. Girish Vishwanathan to join us on the dais, please.